assignments. We had opportunities, take shots with not enough time. We just didn't make the most of any of the little opportunities. Against good defense like this, you're not going to get many opportunities. When you get them, you got to make the most of them.
Aaron Rodgers should just call it a day. Hang him up, man, as he should have before this season. He was washed before this season. I said so. And he played washed all season.
It was an ugly performance for Pittsburgh, and when you watch Aaron Rodgers compared to how well he played against the Baltimore Ravens, he actually looked like he was 42, and it wasn't because he lost anything. It was just how dominant Houston looked defensively.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that.
The Pittsburgh Steelers just got absolutely demolished at home, 30-6 in the wild card round, again. And the internet is absolutely losing it over what Aaron Rodgers said after the game. But here's the thing nobody's talking about. This wasn't just another playoff loss. This was a statement, a punctuation mark, maybe even an obituary for what was supposed to be the Aaron Rodgers renaissance in Pittsburgh.
To me, that's an absolute joke.
Let's set the scene. A Acrisure Stadium, playoff atmosphere, the black and gold faithful ready to finally break through after 9 straight years without a playoff victory. 9 years under Mike Tomlin. That's not a drought anymore. That's a generational curse. And what happens? The Houston Texans defense, led by Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter, absolutely terrorizes Rodgers for 4 quarters. The Steelers' offense manages a measly 6 points. 6, not 6 touchdowns, 6 points. 2 field goals, that's it. That's the entire offensive output in the most important game of the season. But the viral moment, it came in the press conference, and it wasn't what you'd expect.
If the team was smart, they'd slap a deal on him pretty quickly because he's going to be 10 plus years in the league and one of the best to do it, in my opinion.
Wait, what? Your team just got blown out. You just went 2 for 14 on 3rd down. You threw a pick 6 on your final pass of the game. You got strip sacked for a fumble recovery touchdown. And your first instinct is to lobby for your center to get a contract extension? The audacity, the sheer unbelievable audacity of Aaron Rodgers. But it gets better, or worse, depending on how you look at it. When reporters asked him about coming out of the game in garbage time, when Mason Rudolph took over with the Steelers down 24 points, Rodgers gave them the coldest, most matter-of-fact response in playoff history.
30-6.
4 words. That's all he gave them. 4 words that said everything and nothing at the same time. No emotion, no explanation, just cold, hard mathematics. The score was 30-6, so I took myself out. What else do you want me to say? And social media exploded. Aaron Rodgers really just shrugged off a playoff blowout like it was a preseason game. This man has 0 fight left in him. The most Aaron Rodgers thing ever. Make it about everyone else, take 0 accountability. The criticisms came fast and furious. And honestly, some of them aren't wrong. Look at the numbers. Rodgers finished the regular season ranked 23rd out of 28 qualified quarterbacks in QBR. 23rd for a guy who won 4 MVP awards. That's not just a decline, it's a collapse. He held on to the football for an average of 2.6 seconds per throw during the regular season, the fastest in the entire league. Why? Because he couldn't or wouldn't stand in the pocket and take hits anymore. The eye test confirmed what the stats suggested. Rodgers looked every bit of his 42 years out there. The zip on his throws, gone. The magic on 3rd down, vanished. The ability to extend plays with his legs, ancient history. And yet, in the aftermath of the most humiliating loss of his Pittsburgh tenure, Rodgers spent more time praising Zach Frazier than analyzing what went wrong. But here's where it gets really interesting, because the viral moment that's dominating Twitter and sports talk shows isn't actually about his lack of accountability. It's about what he said regarding Mike Tomlin. When asked about the pressure on Tomlin, 9 straight years without a playoff win, remember, Rodgers went on a rant, and not just any rant, a philosophical, almost defiant defense of his head coach.
I mean, this league has changed a lot in my 21 years. when you hear conversation about the Mike Tomlins of the world, Matt LaFleur's of the world, those are just two that kind of, when I first got in the league, there wouldn't be conversation about whether those guys were on the hot seat, but the way that the league is covered now and the way that there's snap decisions and the validity given to the Twitter experts and all the, experts on TV now who make it seem like they know what the hell they're talking about. To me, that's an absolute joke. And
boom, there it is. Aaron Rodgers just called out the entire sports media industrial complex, the hot take merchants, the Twitter analysts, everyone who dares question Mike Tomlin's job security. He called them a joke. And you know what? The takes came flooding in even harder. Skip Bayless, never one to miss an opportunity, absolutely eviscerated Rodgers in his response. He reminded everyone that Rodgers is now 17-10 in playoff games since his lone Super Bowl victory 15 years ago. He pointed out that Green Bay basically decided Rodgers was washed after he lost his last 3 home playoff games as a Packer. He even went as far as saying Rodgers was stealing money from the Steelers this season. Harsh? Absolutely. But is it entirely wrong? The problem with Rodgers' defense of Tomlin is that it completely ignores the elephant in the room. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. That's true, that's impressive, that deserves respect. But in 15 of his 19 seasons as Steelers head coach, Pittsburgh has either missed the playoffs entirely or lost their first playoff game. 15 out of 19 seasons. That's not bad luck. That's a pattern. And Rodgers wants to tell us that questioning Tomlin's seat is just Twitter nonsense? Come on, man. But here's where it gets really interesting, because Rodgers seems more interested in defending his coach than analyzing his own performance. He deflected questions about his future, he gave one-word answers about the loss itself, but when it came to praising Zach Frazier or defending Mike Tomlin, that's when he came alive. It reeks of exactly what critics have always said about Aaron Rodgers. He's a blame deflector, a finger pointer, a guy who's never quite willing to look in the mirror when things go wrong. And the internet is not letting him forget it. One analyst from Steelers Talk pointed out something fascinating. When Omar Khan, Pittsburgh's GM, ran into former Steeler Ryan Clark before the game, he told Clark that Rodgers was nothing like you heard he was, that he'd been a model teammate, that he'd won over the locker room with late-night film sessions and leadership. But then you watch the actual games and you see the body language, the hands up in the air frustration, the sideline finger pointing, the inability to take ownership when things fall apart. It's the same Aaron Rodgers we've always known, just older, slower, less effective. The Texans' defense absolutely dominated this game. Will Anderson Jr. and Daniil Vrunter made Rodgers look like he was moving in quicksand. They didn't even need to blitz much. Just a 4-man rush was enough to pressure him into mistakes. The Steelers' offensive line, which had actually played pretty well down the stretch, looked completely overwhelmed. And what was Rodgers' explanation?
I think first and second down wasn't very good. That's why third down was difficult.
Groundbreaking analysis, Aaron, truly. First and second down wasn't good, so third down was hard. Thank you for that incredible insight. But the most damning part of all this, the reports coming out after the game suggested Rodgers might actually come back for another year, that he and Tomlin had so much fun together that they want to run it back. Run it back. After a 30-6 home playoff loss, after ranking 23rd in QBR, after looking completely washed for the majority of the season, they want to run it back. And you know what Rodgers said when asked about his decision-making process for next season?
No, I'm not going to make any emotional decisions. Disappointed, obviously, it's such a fun year.
A fun year? You just lost 30-6 in the first round of the playoffs. You finished 2 games under 500 after week 13. Your offense scored 6 points in the most important game of the season. What part of that was fun? The disconnect is staggering, and it's exactly why this story is going so viral, because Aaron Rodgers seems to exist in a completely different reality than the rest of us. A reality where praising your center after a blowout loss makes sense, where defending your coach's 9-year playoff losing streak is noble, where a fun year ends in complete and utter humiliation. Mike Tomlin, for his part, kept it real in his own press conference. He said actions speak louder than words, that this is a results business, that they simply didn't execute when it mattered. But will anything actually change? Will the Steelers finally move on from Tomlin? Will Rodgers actually retire instead of subjecting us to another year of this? The smart money says no. The Rooney family has never fired a head coach. Tomlin is coming back. And if Tomlin is coming back, you can bet Rodgers is coming back with him. They're joined at the hip now, for better or worse, mostly worse. And that's what makes this whole situation so frustrating for Steelers fans. They finally got a division championship. They finally had a home playoff game. They finally had hope that maybe, just maybe, this year would be different. And instead, same story, same year. Another blowout loss, another first-round exit, another off-season of questions with no real answers. Aaron Rodgers is going viral for all the wrong reasons. Not because he said something profound, not because he took accountability, not because he fired up the fan base for next season. He's going viral because he perfectly encapsulated everything wrong with this situation. The deflection, the praise for everyone else, the philosophical defenses of a system that clearly isn't working. 30-6. That's the final score. That's the reality. That's what matters. Everything else, just noise from a 42-year-old quarterback who can't or won't face the truth. The Steelers need change, real change. Not more film sessions with Aaron Rodgers, not more passionate defenses of Mike Tomlin, not more praise for Zach Frazier's snapping ability. They need a hard reset, a fresh start, a willingness to actually do something different instead of just talking about it. Because right now, all we're getting is talk. And as Mike Tomlin himself said, in this business, talk is cheap. You either do it or you don't. And on this night, in this game, in this moment that mattered more than any other, the Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers absolutely, positively did not do it.